crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I'm here with a tutorial featuring Hello Bluebird stamps. I recently discovered Hello Bluebird and I could have bought the whole store. Their stamps are really cute. There's a lot of cute critters, which is one of my very favorite things to color, and then a lot of great sentiment stamp sets, but I do have a crafting budget, so I limited myself to start with just 2 of their adorable stamp sets. And I got this Jungle Critter stamp set as well as the, I think it's like a spring scripty one. The links will be in the video description below, and I shared them in a haul video as well. To color the sloth, I decided to go with E19, 15, and 13. It's a little bit more red than most sloths, but sometimes I just kind of like to have fun with the colors. I don't think that, they're cartoon animals. They don't need to be perfectly realistic. So I added some just very basic shadows to all of these critters as I colored them. My main focus was for them to have a sort of rounded dimensional appearance. And the easiest way to achieve that so that your animals or critters or, whatever, don't look flat is to have a highlight going down the center and add some drop shadows. So especially in the face, you want the lightest area to be down the middle of the face and the edges of the face to be receding and therefore darker and in shadow, and that just makes them look rounded and cute. And so that's the principle that I'm applying here. I'm using E13, 11, and 00 to create the lighter part of his face, and doing that sort of similar look of darkest on the edges, lighter towards the center. I have been more and more starting with my darkest color as I color because I tend to color really small images, so I don't feel the need to start with my lightest, go medium dark and all the way back. It takes a lot longer and uses more ink. Not that ink's too much of an issue because, again, I'm coloring small images, but it takes a little bit longer. And since I tend to color a lot of images at once, I just prefer the starting with the darkest method, and I think that it works well in these smaller spaces. I use the same colors for the monkey that I did for the sloth, and I'm going to use the same colors for the elephant as I am here for the koala. Sometimes I break the darkest to lightest rule if I have a little bit of trouble with my blending, but I'm using C5, 3, and 1, and again, just applying that rule of wanting my koala to look round, because round animals are cute. You want your cartoon animals to look a little chubby, I guess, is another way of thinking about it. It lends to their cuteness. That's why there's a lot of round shapes in drawn animals and drawn stamps as well. And so you're just kind of trying to mimic that. And I'm just kind of layering in the color, but I'm also considering here and there like a drop shadow. Like his arms should be a little bit darker because they look like they're kind of behind his chest or belly area there. And then I'm also going to blend out the ears, but I do want to add a touch of pink to them, but I don't want the pink to be too strong. So I even went in with my C1 marker and I covered part of the area, and then I'm going to pull in my C00 for even more so that the pink isn't too bright, and that C color basically helps to tone it down. And I believe that's an RV double 000, I think, either way. Now, once I colored all the images, I colored a bunch of the leaves, I colored the lion and the tiger, and I just had lots of fun with it, but I didn't want to make this video take forever, so I didn't show all of the different coloring. So here are those 2 stamp sets, and I wanted to combine them. One of the reasons that I picked this sentiment stamp set is because it had this really big, beautiful hello, and I'm the kind of person who makes a lot of hello cards. I donate a lot of my cards, and so having really general sentiments is perfect for me. So I picked that up, and I've said so like a billion times in this tutorial. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to try to be more aware of that. I placed it down in my MISTI because I want to make sure that everything is straight, and also because I'm going to be creating multiple cards. I am stamping directly onto my card base. They are A2 size cards, so they are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 once folded, and you get 2 sheets out of that after a standard size card. And I did want to mention, I'm going to try to make sure that I link this up more, but I use Michael's Recollections 110-pound cardstock for my card bases and my Copic coloring, just because I generally find it to be a good deal. I'm going to stamp it with VersaFine Onyx Black ink, but I am going to heat emboss, which is what would make me think of Versamark. I want this sentiment to be a little bit more prominent. I'm going to basically be creating a pretty clean and simple card here, and it's not really quite one layer because the animals are cut out, but I am going to have a mostly one layer look, and I felt like if I just stamped my sentiment flat, it wouldn't have, I don't know, like just that little tiny bit of shine just adds something to the card. So I decided to heat emboss my Hello sentiment, and I'm going to make sure I use my embossing powder bag. I also want to make sure that my sentiment is dry, in a sense. I guess dry is not quite the right word, but you don't want to like immediately after you heat emboss something touch it, because you could smush the still warm embossing powder, and I don't want that. So once it's dry, and I've done a few of them, I decided to start coming up with some kind of design for the background. At this point, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I had thought about using pattern paper, but I didn't quite like the way that worked out. And so, but I still really was compelled to try the idea of stripes. What I decided to do was take some Post-it note tape. I also have Delicate Frog, the yellow tape, but I don't like it for this technique as much. I like it for adhering things down. It never tears my paper, and neither does the Post-it note tape. However, the Post-it note tape is a bit more expensive, and I therefore reserve it for some purposes and not for others. I basically tried to create a stripe pattern. This was kind of inspired by the tiger, and at first I wasn't sure if I was going to do it for a whole bunch of cards or if it was just what I was going to do for the tiger, but I really liked the way that it turned out, and I used a bunch of different colors of Distress Oxide ink to recreate this in different colorways to suit the other animals. I am using carved pumpkin, but I also decided to make it a little bit darker on the edges, so I pulled in a spiced marmalade as well. I believe the spiced marmalade is the darker color. I would really just recommend experimenting with whatever you had. I'm using the Distress Oxide inks here, but I think that the regular Distress inks would give a very similar result, and either way you'd certainly be happier. And I think I did use the spiced marmalade as the darker, but I'm not really sure that it's that much darker. I might in fact recommend trying it the other way, because I wanted to add just a bit of dimension to the stripes. I felt like, again, if I just added one color there, it would be a more flat card, and something as simple as adding a darker color could give it a little bit more dimension and pop. And the card that you can tell the most is on the green one, because my colors were a little bit farther apart. And so again, if I were going to recreate these, if I was going to do it again, I probably would choose colors that weren't so similar. The carved pumpkin is a lot like the spiced marmalade. And then I'm just going to move my Post-it note tape around, and this is going to save me some materials because I get to reuse the Post-it note tape and just do the same technique. And as you lift up the mask, you can see it creates these really nice clean lines. I decided, at first I thought I was going to donate these cards, and in the end I decided not to. So I do go back in after I film the video and add a little bit of glitter to these, which kind of gives it, again, just a little something extra. Because as I've mentioned, it's a relatively one layer card, and I just felt like it needed a little something extra. Also in this case, the fact that I work on graph paper helped a lot. There are a couple of different mats available. Simon Says Stamp makes this kind of paper that you can use, and I think the new Tim Holtz glass mat also has a grid behind it, and it really comes in handy for things like this where you're trying to line up the edges. I know that all of my lines here are perfectly straight because my card is laid along a line, and all of my Post-it note tape is coming along a line. And it's helping to create a really clean, sharp image. I'm going to peel up all of the tape, and you'll kind of see the final design I came up with. As I work through and do a bunch of different other colors with these, I sometimes mix up the widths of the line or the number of lines, just add a little bit of interest to it, but I'm always going to put down the critter. And then with each one, since I did color in all the accessory sorts of images, I mean, the leaves aren't really accessories for animals, but you know what I mean. I colored all those little images, so I decided that I may as well add those. So each one got a critter and a little bit of the extras from the stamp set. And that is it for my tutorial today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I will leave you links to the Hello Bluebird shop as well as to their blog so you can find out more about them, and to the products that I used in general in the video description below. Thank you so much for watching and taking the time to leave comments on my videos. I read them all, and I take time to respond as I can. I'm going to leave you also with some other videos for you to check out. Have an awesome day. Bye.